Hello, welcome to Dry Creek Beekeeping. So today I'm going to be taking a look at this hive, the alpha hive. Now you may remember 2 weeks ago I did a flip-flop of the position of the honey supers. After that video I actually looked it up, and it turns out that's called bottom supering. It's where you put a fresh, empty honey super below one that's already been filled. And it actually turns out that doing this method is slightly more efficient than just putting it on top of a full honey super. So today what I expect to see with this hive is maybe a little bit of comb in the bottom super, but hopefully just fully capped on the upper one. Alright, starting with taking the lid off of the hive. So what I'm hoping to see when I take the lid off the hive is that there's a lot of bees in the inner cover, because that means there's a lot of bees in the hive, and that means they're doing well. Alright, so it looks like there's not many bees up here, but that's okay because, I mean, it's a nice summer day. They're probably mostly out foraging right now. Alright, so like I said earlier, I want to see fully capped up here, but already I can tell that that is not going to be the case, unfortunately. I see some uncapped comb right here, but hopefully it still has lots of honey in it. As it's getting late in the year, you can see that they're making lots and lots of propolis. All propolis does really is make sure that there's no gaps in any of the frames and stuff. But it can get annoying, especially in the winter, because it turns as hard as glue. Alright, so as you can see here, there is some capped, but there is some not capped. All the not capped, the reason why I don't really like seeing that is just because that not capped stuff isn't going to be very good for when it actually comes time to harvest it, because that's not fully done honey. If I put that in a jar, it means that either it could start to crystallize the honey, or the honey could start to ferment. Both of those are bad. It takes a perfect balance for the honey to actually stay good. And when it's good, I mean, it can stay good for forever. Also, what I'm going to want to do is remove some of this propolis, as much as I can anyway, because it'll just become annoying later in the year. Because this propolis, right now it's pretty soft because it's a hot day, but like I said, it becomes solid when it gets cold. Also, propolis has medicinal purposes, so you can keep this and reuse it in like homemade cough drops and stuff. I've never tried doing it personally, but I've heard that it's pretty good. This is a good example of a nearly full frame. I would like to find a full frame, but this might be as close as we're going to get. And on this side, you can see that there isn't as much that's capped. In fact, there are some cells here that are empty. And this might be because this is actually one of those frames that had brood on it, but who knows. Alright, this is definitely one of the frames that had brood on it right here. And as you can see, they're starting to actually fill up some of the cells here, but some of them aren't filled. It's a pretty scattered pattern right now for what has sugar water and what doesn't. But as you can see, there's also that nasty brown stuff here, and that looks like a queen cell. There's a queen cell down here. See that? That's a queen cell. It's not something I want to see, and I'm just checking to make sure it's empty. Alright, it's an empty queen cell, but that's still not something that I want to see, because that means they could try to start swarming. So I'm just going to take that off, and that solves that problem for now. Now I'm going to have to look at my notes from the previous year, but it looks like so far they are doing better than last year. Alright, now I'm going to take this honey super off and take a look at the one below it. Alright, So immediately, I'm not really seeing anything that's worth calling home about. I mean, there's lots of propolis, but that's totally normal for this time of year as they're preparing for winter and trying to keep anything that, oh no. So I just accidentally managed to break this while trying to get a frame out. That's a bit annoying because it's not going to get fixed. I can't fix that because if I put glue in the hive, that might send them away from going up the frames, and that's not good. Also, because of the lack of progress that I see in this hive, I'll try to get a frame out without breaking anything else. As you can see, there is absolutely nothing on here. I think that these frames down here are just becoming a distraction, preventing them from going up further into the top one, because as you saw, there weren't many bees in that top one. So I think I'm going to reverse the flip-flop of the frames, or the honey supers, and I'm just going to have it the way it was, the way I've been taught to do it. Alright, but while I'm down here, I might as well take a look at one of these. I'm just going to look at only one of these frames. Alright, well, that looks at least decent. I don't like the burr comb. That's not great, but other than that, I mean, I like the amount of honey on it. I like the amount of pollen. I don't like the lack of brood. But, I mean, it's getting later in the year, so it probably doesn't matter too much, the lack of brood. So, to recap what I saw with this hive, I haven't really seen that much progress since the previous time I looked at this hive. However, that could just be because I switched the honey supers and they weren't really getting up to the top one as much. So I reflipped them, and now, hopefully, I'm going to see some progress. Now, it's not like they're doing bad. I mean, they're doing very well. With the current amount of honey in there, I'm definitely going to have a good harvest this year. Well, that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments about beekeeping, be sure to put them in the comments. See ya!